Q&As. I know we took 3 weeks off there, guys, and I don't know if I've ever taken 3 weeks off in the almost 10 years that we've been doing live Q&As. So it's kind of nice to be back. I missed you guys. And hopefully we'll have, a good number of folks join us tonight. I know it's Memorial Day, but I couldn't really bring myself to take a 4th week in a row off. I wouldn't have even been here for the whole month of May. So we are going to jump in and we're going to talk vacations. It's Memorial Day. It is the iconic start to summer. And you may already have some summer vacation plans made, but there are still some great ways to save. With the price of gas continuing to rise, figuring out ways to save on other aspects of your vacation is going to be kind of important. Or maybe for you, it's figuring out what can we do with the price of gas where it is. Massive road trip, it's going to be kind of expensive, but we can try to cover everything. So if you've got questions, if you have somewhere you've been wanting to go, you want to learn how to save in a particular area, whatever it might be, feel free to jump out and ask questions on that. I'm also okay with questions that are off topic. So if you have a question that's not vacation related, that's okay too. I know it's been a lot of weeks since we've had a Q&A. So a question may have popped up in the last few weeks too. Feel free to just throw them all at me today. It's kind of like you have that welcome back from vacation moment. We can make that tonight if that's what we need to do. So we're going to just dive right in. I do have a few things that are definitely vacation related, but we can go wherever the questions take us tonight as well. So, and hello to everyone who's already chiming in. I'm glad to see you guys here, Ethelene and Elizabeth and Eleanor and Christine. Always good to have you guys join us, and Lynn. So first off, in terms of, let's pretend you don't have any plans. You would like to take a vacation. You don't necessarily know where you want to go. My first tip for you is actually to just, start with the basics and research all of the possibilities of where you do want to go. And the easiest way to do that, guys, is the library, or using all of the mobile apps that libraries now work with. So Overdrive and Hoopla, where we can get free downloads, free ebooks, and just start to do your own research. Also remember, if we're looking at a road trip, to reach out to the states that you want to visit. So the reason I wasn't here for a few weeks is that we went on an iconic family road trip, just got back from the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone. And I had told you guys this was something I wanted to do. My husband doesn't really like for me to share when we're specifically gone for safety purposes. So we're home now. But in that's not a, let me just wake up and take us to the Grand Canyon. That's a, let's research this. Let's decide what we want to see. So we're not talking about where we're going to stay. We're not talking about order of how we want to see things. Just what do we want to see? That needs to be step one of any vacation. Maybe it's not even a road trip. Just where do we want to go? Because once you get an idea of what you want to see, then you start to map out the order or where you're going to stay. Can I find maybe a base camp? That's what I would call it, where we have a house or we have a campsite or however you're going to stay that is central to a few locations, because now I don't have to move around. I don't have to pack and unpack to move on to the next national park or whatever you're doing. Let's say you want to do the iconic Washington, D.C. trip. I want to decide what in D.C. I want to see, and then maybe try to figure out a place that would work to get to those spots. Now, when we're talking those major cities and they've got metros too, your options are a little larger, but just so you get some ideas. So having that plan first, go to the library, use those free apps. So Hoopla and Overdrive are the two major ones that our library works with. You just literally log in with your library card and you have free downloads for ebooks. And reaching out to each of those states. So every state tourism office will send you kind of a free book of fun things to do in their state, a free state map. Sometimes other fun freebies come in that package too, but literally every state will do that. So now you have a map for every state, which I know seems a little 1980s, but believe me, your kids are going to love them. So taking advantage of those moments, grabbing those vacation guides from those states. Even the boring states offer this, guys. So if you're thinking, let's take a family vacation to Arkansas, they have a tourism board and they will send you information. Now, I have to say that, is it a state park or a national park in Arkansas? We all ended up talking about it on our trip. It wasn't on our list. But the one where you can hunt for diamonds, we're totally there. So I could plan a family vacation just to go diamond hunting. Whatever that state park is or national park in Arkansas, if you live in that area, we think you're pretty cool. So, I don't know what your plans are. I would love to hear. If you've got some really fun vacation plans this summer, shout them out in the comments. Love to see where people are going or where your ideas of going are. I'm just curious, are you up for it? So we made this plan and we went before gas prices leapt through the roof. At that point, everything was booked. But there are still ways to save on gas too, guys. We've covered that in a lot of Q&As. What we did was we took advantage of all of the gas gift card deals. My sweet mother took advantage of gas gift card deals. So people just gave us, that's what we asked for birthdays, and everything else was gas station gift cards. As we traveled, we also tried to hunt for places with Get Upside offers, which is a great mobile app for saving on gas for Sam's Club locations. Because if you've got a Sam's Club membership, you might as well get the cheaper gas at a Sam's Club. Anytime we could. The other big one, anytime we were going to cross a state line, before we got to the state line, pulling up Gas Buddy or another app that's going to let you compare. Get Upside does this too, or it's now called Upside. They changed their name in the last month. But an app that's going to compare prices so that I could know quickly, do I need to stop before I cross the state line and just go ahead and fill up some more? Are gas taxes in that next state going to be worse or going to be better? And there's definitely some aha moments. Utah has some crazy expensive gas compared to other states around them. Okay, well, let's aim to not get gas in Utah if we could. And that doesn't work when you're literally going from the bottom to the top. But you can try to go into the state with a full tank of gas, and checking that every time you're about to cross a state line is a smart move. Those of you who live along state lines, you already know that. I used to work in Georgia and we lived in South Carolina. You didn't get gas in Georgia. You still don't get gas in Georgia. You get gas in South Carolina. It is automatically 20 cents cheaper to cross that state line. So anyone who lives along state lines, you already know that one. And you know which state, whether it's yours or whether it's the other one, has the better price. You get the idea. Growing up in Florida, right along the state lines between Florida and Georgia, Georgia won. It was always cheaper than Florida. Everybody's been playing this game for decades, right? That's how I grew up quite a while ago getting gas. I remember my dad driving to the Georgia line to go get gas up in Thomasville. Any tips on eating out? We love to eat out on vacation, but it can really add up. I agree with you on that one. We enjoy eating out, but I will say what I would recommend for eating out on vacation is that you decide, you know what, maybe we pick 2 or 3. Let's assume you're going for a whole week here. We're going to pick 2 or 3 restaurants that we really, really want to try to go to, and we're going to conserve on other meals so that we can eat out and not have guilt for those restaurants. So maybe it's making a really concerted effort that we're going to eat in for some particular meals so that we have more in the budget to eat out for those other meals. Because sometimes if you love to go to, let's go iconic South Carolina here, you love to go to Myrtle Beach and you love to go to those big, huge seafood buffets, the $2 coupon that they're putting out, it isn't going to save you anything. But figuring out ways that you can save on other meals. So maybe for you, we stayed in a few hotels on our trip out using Marriott points to stay in hotels on the way out, but intentionally always booking a hotel that I knew offered free breakfast so that we never had to pay for breakfast. That was not in the budget, wasn't going to happen. Some of the nights that we had a vacation rental and we were in a house, we had cereal and milk, never eating out for breakfast. And we were 100% on that one. It was not in the budget and we didn't have to do it. So that would be my encouragement to you, is maybe I can't save for those special restaurants. You love to always eat at this particular local restaurant. There may not be a great way to save there. Then let's save on those other meals. Let's try to always have a plan for lunch. So for us, even hitting national parks or, moving around, we still had sandwiches. We carried with us peanut butter and jelly in a little cooler. The peanut butter doesn't have to be cool, but the jelly does. So we could, some of us had meat and cheese sandwiches. Some of us had peanut butter and jelly. We have a favorite tuna pasta salad that I just put in a huge Ziploc bag, so I don't need a big bowl container for it. We ate that for lunch in Zion National Park. So, anytime you can have a plan, and my crew is definitely, by the end of that, do not feed us sandwiches for at least a few weeks. But for us to not eat out for all of those meals saved a lot. Now, we are a big family, so we don't tend to say, let's go to a fancy restaurant for dinner. But still eating out when you're on the road and you have to hit the Chick-fil-A, or you have to, we need something and we don't have that sandwich, that still adds up too. So if you're talking fast food, there are ways to save there. Make sure whatever the fast food is that you're taking advantage of their mobile apps. Every fast food restaurant now has a mobile app. I mean, once McDonald's joined the fray, I don't think there's anyone left. And they all offer rewards. They all offer incentives and discounts through them. So using those mobile apps, no, I may not save on this Chick-fil-A meal, but I'm earning rewards that are going to help us get a little meal here and a little meal there that's going to add up to be a freebie every now and then. So our go-tos, the ones that our family likes the most, Chick-fil-A. My husband would literally eat Jersey Mike's every day if the family let him on vacation. We managed to limit him to 2 on this trip. But even in Jersey Mike's, ordering through their app, we've got enough points just in 2 trips that it's a completely free sandwich, which just knocked out a couple kids because I make the kids share on those sandwiches. If you get the larger sizes, it feeds a lot of people. So even on those little meals, making sure you're using those is a really great one. And don't forget too, if you're in our boat where we were asking for gas station gift cards, you could ask for those fast food restaurant gift cards too. There are gift cards, CVS, Walgreens, to so many of these fast food restaurants that would save you a chunk. And don't forget your Sam's and your Costco as well, because they also offer restaurant discount gift cards every day. I don't have to wait for deals at Sam's and Costco. I'm always going to be able to walk in and get, a Logan's Roadhouse $50 gift card for $37. Well, you just saved $13 off of that gift card. That's, a chunk. You have $50 to spend at the restaurant, but you didn't have to spend the $50 for it. So thinking ahead of where you want to eat, grabbing those gift cards before you leave is also a really great way to save. So Christine, great question. Christine asks, what do I think is the cheapest lodging? Now, obviously, a hotel with points. It's hard to beat a hotel with points, right? Didn't pay a dime for it. But that only works until you run out of points. So then when it comes down to hotel, vacation rental, let's throw in a third one there, camping, obviously going to win as well. So hotel with points is number 1, camping is number 2. But really the comparison that a lot of folks ask on there is hotel versus vacation rental. Personally, I feel like the vacation rental wins. And that can be based on your situation too. So we're a family of 7 and I can't put us in one hotel room. So if I'm looking at a hotel, I'm really looking at either a Residence Inn that has 2-bedroom hotel rooms. Those cost more. Or I'm looking at a vacation rental that is at least a 2-bedroom, if not a 3-bedroom vacation rental. But a lot of times hunting for those, I can get a vacation rental way cheaper than I could even get 2 fairly cheap hotels. The other cheap part of a vacation rental, if you're willing, is the fact that you can cook your meals. You have a refrigerator, you have a freezer. So as long as you're willing to take advantage of that kitchen, the vacation rental to me always wins. Once you start adding up all the meals you didn't pay for those nights, it's a pretty good savings. If you're going to get a hotel room, I would, before you book the hotel room, ask if the hotel has a refrigerator and a microwave. You can totally cook some pretty good meals with just a refrigerator and a microwave. We've done tacos in a Great Wolf Lodge. You know, if you've pre-cooked your meat or some other items, no one's going to starve. If the hotel doesn't have that refrigerator and microwave, I may look for a different hotel because, again, meals is a chunk. So making sure where you're staying is going to help out on the eating budget is a pretty big chunk of trying to save money. One tip, if your hotel does not come with a refrigerator, some hotels still offer them until we run out. So normally they're reserved for folks who are diabetics or have medication that needs to stay cold. But a lot of hotels do have some refrigerators. They may not have them in every room, but you can specifically ask for a refrigerator in your room, and that might help you out too. So just another little tip there. Okay, and yes, and so Tanya's chiming in with the same tips there. Free breakfasts, bring sandwich stuff for lunches, and eat out for dinner if that's what you need to do. And that would be our big tips too. Anytime that you can eat in for dinner, if you've got that vacation rental and you can cook some meals, then by all means go for eating in for dinner. Another option, if you want to eat out too, guys, like Tanya's saying, free breakfast, sandwiches for lunch. But consider this, lunch in a lot of places is cheaper than dinner. So if you don't really care, switch up your meals and do free breakfast, sandwiches for dinner, and eat out for lunch, because that lunch menu sometimes can be half the price of the dinner menu. You're still eating at that great restaurant that you wanted to eat at, but I'm paying potentially 50% less to do it, and potentially a lot less people in this restaurant too. So, if we're really trying to work the budget, eating out for lunch, eating in for dinner is a really great option too. Okay, so I think I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anyone's questions as we go through. Cassie's asking, any ideas for Georgia or Florida day trips? You live between Savannah and Jacksonville. So it's a very fun place to live, Cassie. I have my in-laws are right in that line too, along 95. So hands down, I would say you need to go to Jekyll. It's not free, but the Sea Turtle Museum on Jekyll is a lot of fun. My kids absolutely love it. So I would say checking out all of those barrier islands, heading to Cumberland and the national park that is on Cumberland Island. That's where my husband and I honeymooned. All along there, hitting Amelia Island. Those are great, fun day stops. You'll also find a lot of just neat things to do that are free in those areas. Now, Cumberland, it's a national park, so it's not necessarily free. You have to take the boat over to get in. But one tip for national parks, if you've got a fourth grader, we have one. Every fourth grader gets a free pass into national parks for their entire family. So you're not going to pay a dime. And it's pretty great. So as we kept going national park to national park over the last 2 weeks, we would hand them her pass. We'd roll down the back window. They'd say, wave, fourth grader, and boom, we just drove in to a $40 park and paid nothing. So take advantage of your fourth grader if you have them. Anyone that is currently just finished fourth grade, their pass is good until August. If you have a fourth grader next year, so this coming fall, then they can get their pass in August, and it is good until the next August. So take advantage of it while you've got a fourth grader. Seniors also get a really great discount into national parks, so take advantage of the senior discount. Everyone else is going to have to just pay or get an annual pass if you know you're going to do a really big trip with a lot of national parks. So let's see some other things that are along that Georgia line. If you've not done Savannah, there's so much in Savannah. We actually have a list 25 free things to do in Savannah. So Google that and you'll find that on Southern Savers. But a ton. That's kind of old stomping grounds for my husband and I. You've got all the parks in downtown Savannah, Tybee Island, and the other little barrier islands that are along there. I mean, you could just have a field day just hitting the barrier islands of Georgia and the little islands of North Florida and stay busy for quite a few months. Other things for folks to do during the summer, we don't have to plan a huge road trip, guys, but if you're just trying to find little things to do, maybe you plan 2 times a month or 3 times a month. We're going to take a little family 1-day trip, kind of exactly like Cassie's asking, just day trips. So again, I'm not going to plan something constantly. I'm not going to attempt we're going to hit every barrier island this summer, but 2 or 3 times a month, we're going to plan just a fun little day trip. We just this year, we've lived in South Carolina now for, goodness, almost 17 plus years. But this year is the first time that my family has made 2 day trips to Charleston. Just saying, you know what, we're going to get in the car and we're going to drive to Charleston, which is about 2 hours from our house. But they were still great, fun day trips, hitting the beach for a couple of hours. We did the Charleston tea plantation just because some friends recommended it. That was a lot of fun as well on the tour that they offer. So finding little things like that, they were great, fun days. I will also say day trips for our family may include a Goodwill every now and then. I mean, why not hit a fun, different thrift store than your own, if that's your personality? I'm pretty sure that my husband hit a Goodwill at some point, even on our trip out west. I had the kids entertained and he just went out for like an hour. I don't even think he bought anything because there was no room in the car. But, sometimes you just need some moments in a thrift store. But you don't have to pay to get in. So you can always find something fun to do, right? And I will tell you, when you hit some barrier islands, there's some good stuff in those thrift stores. For folks who live along those lines, they've got a lot more money than we do. And they are giving away some name brand clothes and some pretty good gear that you can get specifically around the Charleston area. So if anyone makes any day trips there, I highly recommend the Goodwills out on the barrier islands. Okay. Oh, and Jolene's saying your Sam's Club has a $50 gift card for $37, and you had the gift card, but it's no longer available. So one thing to watch on Sam's website, and I'll show you where to look, guys, is it's kind of funny on the gift card deals. They do regularly have discounts, but they also offer some other discounts from time to time. So this may not be where you would normally look for gift card deals, but when you're on Sam's website, go to Shop All Savings at the top and click on Tech Savings. If they're going to run gift card deals or they're going to run some kind of short-term savings, it will usually be on this page. Now, right now, they're not running any. I was actually on this page earlier today. They have Airbnb, but typically this is where you're going to see any others pop in that are limited time gift card deals. So again, there aren't any big ones unless you want Airbnb right now, but so Shop All Savings is where I went, and Tech Savings is where you want to look. So it doesn't say gift card, doesn't really make any sense. They just don't have a separate place that they put those. They have a gift card section, and you will definitely find some discounted gift cards when you go hunting in these sections. So, you click on dining and you start to see everything that's there. Golden Corral, $50 for $39.98. Texas Roadhouse isn't amazing, but $75 is for $71. But the limited time deals always under Tech Savings on the Sam's website. So maybe that will help you spot some if you keep an eye on those pages too. Kathy's chiming in and saying Crock Pots also work well for small meals. I've never had room in our car with 5 kids to haul a crock pot with us. But I have had, even one of the rentals we stayed in this past trip, the owner of the rental said, hey, just wanted to let you know, if you're planning on cooking meals, we have a crock pot in the house. That was really helpful. So maybe the rental you're going to, that would be something you could ask after you rented. I have seen people in a hotel checking out. I want to say it was Great Wolf Lodge. I was sitting in the lobby. People were checking out with all their luggage and saw numerous crock pots go by as people left Great Wolf Lodge. I think that's brilliant. It's a great way to get dinner on the table. Still need to pre-cook some meat and things like that so that you can just basically dump and let your chili or your spaghetti sauce or whatever you might have in your crock pot kind of do its thing, or have it. The easier way is definitely to have it all prepped, so you're not having to do that prep in the hotel room. But I love it. And watching the crock pots go by at Great Wolf Lodge, it was definitely more than one mama who thought that one through, or dad. I'll give everyone credit. I don't know who packed the crock pot, but numerous families that had that one there. Alice, great question. What about ways to save in Williamsburg? That's a trip our family took probably 3 or 4 years ago now. Hands down, camping in Williamsburg, by far the cheapest way to save. Also look at the hotels that are outside of the historic district. Anything that is super close, and this is just a general rule, any hotel that is super close to a location is going to cost an arm and a leg. If they can charge it and they can get it, then why not charge it, right? So zooming out a little bit, finding a location that is 20 minutes, 30, you decide what you're willing to make your commute into Williamsburg, and go from there. When we went up, we actually found a Marriott location, and we did use points quite a few years ago. But if you don't have that option, there are a number of hotels. When you zoom out a little bit, I know I've had some friends that highly recommended the Holiday Inn that was up there, versus staying directly on property. That's very expensive. There are some campgrounds, though, that are part of Colonial Williamsburg. That's what I assume you're wanting to do when you say Williamsburg. You may be going there for the Busch Gardens. I don't know, but we went for the Colonial Williamsburg. If camping is not your thing, another option might be that you actually look at some of the RV rental sites, because you can actually have someone bring their RV and set it up for you. You don't even have to pick it up or drive it, though you can. So RV Share or Outdoorsy, those are two of the main RV rental sites. And you're going to pay kind of what you would pay for a vacation rental, but it's usually a lot cheaper per night. You'll still need to pay for your campground spot. That's why your camper is a lot cheaper per night. But now you have a kitchen, and you've got your beds right there and everything else you need. So just an option as you go hunting. Another option whenever you're looking at vacationing is to look at times that are not peak times. So I know weekends work because not a lot of, everyone who doesn't have a bunch of vacation leave. For us, trying to maximize my husband's vacation is really tricky. So weekends become optimal, but weekends are optimal for everyone. So instead of being that Saturday and Sunday visitor, being that we check in maybe on Wednesday night, we're there Thursday, Friday, and we check out Saturday morning, your rate is going to be so much lower because you weren't there on the weekend. Versus the folks that have to be a dedicated weekend traveler, you are paying more to be that weekend traveler. So staying outside of the area and staying kind of on off-peak days even. So maybe you're still doing this during the peak summer, but you're not peak summer weekend. It's going to be a little less painful in terms of price. Ideal is not peak summer. So that is why we went when we did on our trip. I realized my kids were going to finish up with some of their AP classes and dual enrollment classes super early in May. And I said, you know what? We are getting out of here before Memorial Day, because once Memorial Day hits, the national parks are slammed, but the prices are all going to jump. So anytime you can travel before school lets out or after school goes back in, you're going to save a chunk too, because you're now off peak. And that's just huge. So some other ways to save in Williamsburg too, by the way, I don't know if you have your dates picked out, but if you are talking Colonial Williamsburg, every year Colonial Williamsburg, along with a number of other locations around the country, guys, this isn't just Colonial Williamsburg, offer Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. So if you're looking at a vacation that's further out, do some hunting now. Like, I know that we're nowhere near Black Friday, believe me, I know. But you can still do a Google search for Black Friday Colonial Williamsburg, and you can find last year's posts. I do a post every year because we love Colonial Williamsburg. I'm always happy to share whenever they run a deal. But most Black Friday, Cyber Mondays, Williamsburg, for example, runs like buy one, get one admissions that are good any time of the year. You just need to grab them that weekend. Now, obviously, if you're planning on going there next month, that option doesn't help you at this point. But for anyone who's thinking, I'd really like to go sometime in the next year or two, then put it on your calendar now. Black Friday, check Colonial Williamsburg website. It'll pop in, it'll remind you, and then you can take that moment and not miss that BOGO deal. Other offers that we see a lot of cruise deals on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Lego land, we've seen a lot of Busch Gardens and SeaWorld offers for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Trying to think of those are the biggest ones, but we see a lot of tourism offers. So you may not be thinking about it coming up on Christmas, you're not coming up on summer vacation, but they do, and a lot of them don't have that time where it has to be used in the next month. It's really good for the next year or so. So that's a great one. Jennifer wanted to go on family beach vacation somewhere other than Virginia, Myrtle, or Wilmington area. Where should we go that would be different and only 3 to 4 hours away? So not sure where 3 to 4 hours from you is, Jennifer, but I will say typically for a beach vacation, the smaller the city or the smaller the island, the cheaper it is to stay there. Also, the little bit further from that main city. So, for example, it's a small island, but if you wanted to go to Isle of Palms, for example, that would be the beach side of Charleston. Not cheaper to stay there. It's super close to Charleston. But in South Carolina, for example, we love Edisto. It's this little tiny island. It's not near any major city. It's a very quiet beach, and price-wise, over the islands, 2 islands up near Charleston, probably about half the price for the same size house. So always looking at that smaller, quieter area. So folks who love Myrtle Beach, for example, we're not talking Myrtle Beach here. We're talking Garden City. We're going down, a few beaches, a few little towns, even getting closer to, closer to the national parks or the state parks that are down there. You're going to save a lot more money getting outside of Myrtle Beach or outside of those big cities. The North Carolina Outer Banks, all of those areas can get pricey too, but going like Litchfield, going to your smaller little cities, you're still going to save a chunk to do those too. In terms of a beach vacation, obviously beachfront costs an arm and a leg. So start looking for that second, that third row, maybe even a fourth row that throws in a golf cart with the house. Okay. You could still get some pretty good deals doing that too. So I don't know if that gives you any particular ideas because I'm not quite sure where you live, but hopefully it helps you. What I would recommend, honestly, I love to just sit on VRBO.com and you could sit here. I'm going to play with this for a second for you. Let's go further out because most things are booked. So we're going to go all the way into September just to play. And I won't look for 7 people. So just to show you one way to do this, if you're kind of curious, I put in a city, but I don't actually have to search VRBO or most of these sites work the same way. I don't have to search by the city. Like this is how I started. I put in Edisto. I'm getting some ideas. I put in September. So you're going to look at these prices and be like, wow, that's super cheap. But I can come over here and I can just keep zooming out and keep moving the map island to island and get some ideas. Also go ahead and filter it by the price that you're willing to pay. Like, I want to pay less than $2,000. Let's see what pops up. Oh, that was nightly. Whew. Oh no, total price. We're good. So I can sit here and I can keep zooming out. I can also keep moving around beaches until I find a beach that maybe I hadn't heard of, or I'm willing to try and just see, is it any cheaper? A really unique one, guys, and I don't know what's available in September, but this one right here, if you're ever in South Carolina, this is Isle of Palms. I was just telling you it's really expensive. But Dewey's Island is a unique one. The dates that I put in, there's nothing there. There's also an island like this near Hilton Head. These are islands that you literally have to take a boat to get to, but they offer a regular ferry that goes there. Well, it's actually pretty cheap to stay there because you got to take everything you want over. If you need to go back to the grocery store, it's going to take quite a bit to do that. But it could be a great, fun family experience and really great houses to do that. So look for those barrier islands that still have a ferry schedule. So we're not talking about having to charter a boat or do anything crazy. They've got a regular ferry schedule, but you're actually going to save a chunk of money to do that, to head to those. So Dewey's is one. If you're curious, I'll zoom down. We used to live right near Hilton Head, and I can't think of the name of the one that's right by Hilton Head, but it's not far to get down there. Oh, Defusky. This guy right here is another one. There's a regular ferry that heads off of Hilton Head and would take you to Defusky. The only way to get there by boat, but you don't have to charter that. And the rental's a lot cheaper to do that because it's only by boat, because they know it's a little less convenient than just driving up to the house, right? But it could be a great, interesting spin on a beach vacation to try some of those barrier islands that maybe you wouldn't normally visit, to try those too. So I've always pondered, we vacation with my in-laws normally when we go to the beach, and I don't know that my mother-in-law would really, really love that. So in the sake of being uber frugal, I have not thrown that in as an option. But I always look at those prices and think like, oh, that would be so cheap. Could I convince everybody to not go back and to just hang on the island? I just haven't been brave enough. So I want one of you guys to be super brave and book it, though. It would be very, very fun. Okay. Karen's chiming in on another fun one for the person who lives between Savannah and Jacksonville. They're saying go further south to St. Augustine, Florida, and climb the lighthouse. I would be a second one that would highly recommend St. Augustine. There's a lot there just walking around the city that's free, but it's a fun little city. Growing up in Florida, I can't count the amount of times that I went to St. Augustine, but a very fun little area. Okay. And Beth is chiming in with what she took too. So she said they took a camping stove and pot and made deluxe mac and cheese, boiled hot dogs, Chef Boyardee, canned veggies for dinner as they camped across the West and did national parks. There's all sorts of things camping-wise. You can get really creative with a camping stove and just one or two pots of what you can make. Another big tip too, as we talk about, cooking kind of in a tight environment or limited environment, would be that think about your meals ahead of time and think about what could I make with the same meat. So I can walk into the store, I can buy ground beef, and I can have tacos and spaghetti. I just ground the package of ground beef, split it in half, but I now have two meals. I made the pot dirty one time to make the ground beef, but I'm also not having to have a bunch of different things that I'm grabbing. For us, we had a tiny little ice chest. So if I've got leftovers, I've got a problem. If I bought too much at the grocery store and we didn't eat it, I have a problem. I'm going to have to throw that away. I could maybe carry one or two things with me, but not a ton. So you need to really, really think through meals in terms of being frugal and not wasting. And so going with meals that do use the exact same meat, is a great way to do that so that you're not overcooking. If anything, you're potentially undercooking, but you can grab a bag salad. You can grab, a loaf of bread and give everybody some garlic bread or whatever if you are worried that you didn't make enough sauce. But I'm not going to have a bunch of leftovers that I need to deal with and no place to put them as you move on to the next spot. So always thinking about your meat. That's another one, even with meal planning at home, browning your ground beef for a couple of meals throughout the week, it's a huge time saver. So you're kind of doing the same thing for vacation to help yourself out too. Oh, and Princess, I love your name. How would you get a national park pass for your soon to be fourth grader? So it's every kid. I'm going to just Google it. Every kid in a park. Oh, everykidoutdoors.gov. And I will share this link with you too. But everykidoutdoors.gov is the website. It takes just a second. The fourth grader is going to take a quick quiz. It's literally like, where do you want to go? And then boom, they have their pass. So super, super simple. And with this, they will get a printable page once they've filled out their little quiz diary. You will take that printed page to the first national park that you go to, and they will exchange it for an actual park pass. So a legit park pass that says fourth grader, every kid in a park pass. So we exchanged ours at the Arch in St. Louis. That was the first national park we got to as we headed west in the car. We're the first one we stopped at. I absolutely loved it because the park ranger made a really big deal out of it for our fourth grader. Like, okay, it's official. You're going to need to put your full name on here. So she did, like first, middle, and last. Fourth graders aren't used to signing things, but it was really sweet. She absolutely loved it. And I have to say, she loved that she knew she was instrumental in getting us into every park. She loved that every park ranger asked, where's your fourth grader? And that she knew she had to wave like it was her part of the trip. So I think this is a wonderful program, not to mention, just it saved us a bunch of money, but it really is for kids. Now, if your kid is a rising fourth grader, they will be in fourth grade in the fall. They cannot register until August. So in the government's eyes, I guess you still have a third grader. But as soon as school starts in August, they can register. If you have a fourth grader and you didn't do this, though, this past year, current fourth graders, yes, it just ended, can still get their pass and use it through August. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you, nowhere on this site does it actually, there's no verification that your kid is in fourth grade. So if you missed this past year, I don't know. It's up to you. But whatever you decide, I would say if you didn't take advantage of it, I would still probably take advantage of it. Our fourth grader was about to move on, so she actually was a fourth grader. But I think every family should jump in and do it at least once. Take advantage of that one. So it is a really fun program and super, super simple to get. Okay. Any Lowe's home improvement gift card deals for Father's Day? So Lynn, I don't know. I was actually really, really surprised to see the one that Lowe's ran for Mother's Day. They've never run one for Mother's Day. I would love to see Lowe's run it again for Father's Day. I think we've got a lot of retailers that are hurting, and they know that gift cards are cash right now for them. So I will not be surprised if we don't see some Lowe's gift cards for Father's Day. Not to mention, don't forget that you're going to see Kroger, you're going to see some of the other grocery stores just run general fuel savings offers on all gift cards, and they sell Lowe's too. So you could, not even have to wait for Father's Day. That Kroger offer is going to start the week before Father's Day. Usually it'll run that whole week. So if you've got a Kroger or a Kroger affiliate nearby, grabbing them there. But we did see Lowe's run buy $100 gift card and get a $10 or a $15 gift card for free back for Mother's Day. They ran it just the weekend right before Mother's Day. So hopefully we'll see that same offer for Father's Day. This is literally the first year that I've seen them run it though. So fingers crossed for Father's Day, but I don't specifically know. Oh, and great, Cassie. I'm glad you've done the Sea Turtle Center. It's not cheap, but it is very fun on Jekyll. Okay. Oh, and some other people are chiming in too for beaches to try out for my those that are Jennifer wanting to go to other beaches. Okay. Oh, and Jolene, I'm not sure on internet wise. I think that we're actually doing really good tonight. We were resetting everything and the numbers looked really good, but Hopefully, if you wanted to jump off, maybe watching it after the fact, it wouldn't freeze up a bunch too. So Rose is saying she wants to do near her. There is so much being in the upstate of South Carolina, hiking, waterfalls. I agree. I could just live in the upstate of South Carolina and the lower part of North Carolina every weekend if we were able to. One other fun one, guys. I know this isn't everywhere, but there are so many places that do this. I was just pondering in my area a fun freebie that just popped in for us, and I don't know what you guys have in your area, but there is a free Shakespeare festival for those that live in the Greenville area. I know growing up in Tallahassee, Florida, we used to have a free Shakespeare in the park. So if you've got that, so many places are bringing this back. We haven't had it in a couple of years, hunting for this. This particular one is in Greenville, South Carolina, and it literally runs all summer, every weekend. So this summer they're doing Much Ado About Nothing for a whole month, and then they're doing Othello for the last 2 weeks in July. But I mean, pretty much the whole summer, free Shakespeare. You bring your own chair. They tell you to bring your own picnic food because they don't even serve food, completely free. So hunting for things like this, like free plays in the park, free summer concerts, you're going to see a lot of this, even in my area. So I don't live in Greenville. I live in Columbia, South Carolina, but we're doing free concerts in the park. These are great things to do during the summer and not have to leave home or do it as a quick trip up and back if this was somewhere near you. And yes, I know you may not be near Greenville, but this is not the only city that does free Shakespeare in the park or free plays in the park, but that's a really fun one to look for every summer too. If I can work it, I may really try to do some arm twisting because I know my teenagers would love to go up for Much Ado About Nothing, or Othello for that matter, but free in the park. So maybe I will run into some of you guys if we do make it up there. But anytime you can do those local things and hit those freebies is a fun day too. Oh, Lynn, you needed a Lowe's deal now for a dishwasher. You have been patiently waiting. So I don't know, Lynn, if you have that Kroger nearby, but if you do, that's the deal that I would be waiting for on gift cards because there's really no limit. You get a bunch of fuel savings and you could buy a $300 or $500 Lowe's gift card and get a bunch of gas savings back on that gift card. That's really the route that I would go. Oh, and great, Rose. I love that tip too. So Rose is reminding us all like fireworks and free fireworks displays. She's mentioning the one in Greenville for July 4th, but how many cities offer those? So, hunting around and seeing within an hour of your house who may have a fun display and making a new day of it. The other thing to look for would be those, all the unique little festivals. Maybe this is a South Carolina thing, but we've got the Cornbread Festival and the Peach Festival. I'm pretty sure there's a Boiled Peanut Festival around here somewhere. You could have quite a fun summer just hitting some of those unique events near you. Usually to get into those is free. Yes, there's a lot of vendors, so you may want to go prepared to either not shop them or window shop them, but they can be fun to hang out at too. We have a pickle festival in our area too, an Irmo okra strut. We can get kind of unique over here in our corner of the South. But if you ever want to come find a festival, there's probably one running some weekend, every weekend in South Carolina somewhere. Yes, I just saw my husband's comment. We're also known to take the kids on July 4th and sit behind the baseball field. And there's a beautiful park behind our baseball field here in town. Put up our lawn chairs and watch the fireworks that we didn't pay for. We're not alone in that. We've literally done this for a few years. One year we did it in a parking lot that kind of overlooks the baseball stadium with probably like 50 or 60 other people. So I know that I'm really, really cheap, but I'm not alone in that. Last year we had the park to ourselves, but really great fireworks displays without having to pay the per ticket price for all of our kids. And I don't know about your kids, but for our kids to go to a baseball game, they are not just buying them a ticket. The only way that you keep them happy is if you keep feeding them at the baseball game. So it gets really expensive. So we don't do baseball games very often. It's not in the budget, but we will gladly go and watch their fireworks from behind the stadium any July 4th. They want to offer free fireworks. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Just trying to make sure I hit everybody's questions there. I think we're all caught up for a little bit. So a few other things to save on here. One of those is souvenirs, guys. So limiting the souvenirs, having a plan before you go anywhere on vacation, maybe even a budget or giving your kids a budget. What we did for this trip, because I knew it was going to be a 3-week-long trip, and I have 2 littles, that's what we call them, the littles and the bigs. That's life in a big family. But my 2 younger kids, money just burns holes in their pockets. But I had them work for their spending money for weeks upon weeks before we went out. They each had a jar, and every week, if they did everything that they were supposed to do that week, they got $3 in their jar. I know I'm a big payer around here. But they had both saved up about $40 before we went out west. In reality, this money is coming right back to me. But this was their budget. They knew that they had worked for it. They had a set amount to spend, and then they needed to be wise as to how they spent it. And I think that is not only teaching your kids some budgeting and teaching them, is this important? Is this not important? It's a lot of lessons in that. But it also is limiting them in every store. They're not going to constantly be asking, can I have this? Can I have this? Because they're going to run out of money on this trip. And that's going to help to save you some heartache too. There can also be some things where you tell this to yourself. I have some things that I always love to purchase on a vacation, but I try to keep those small. So every vacation, 1 Christmas ornament, not one from like every park, but 1 Christmas ornament from the whole vacation. We also had fun with stickers. Stickers are very in right now. So getting a sticker for a park is a couple bucks versus, a t-shirt or something crazy like that. And if you're going to go big, doing that in a unique way. We happened to find a little rock shop. That was probably the most expensive thing that I bought. It was a $19 geode, but it was fun and different. And it wasn't in the national park that is really everything's made in China. It was really from a local little rock shop, which is where I'd much rather spend my $19 on the one little thing that I brought home. But that's where I would encourage you to, is that you think about where you want to spend the money and how much you want to spend before you go. For anyone heading to Disney World, a huge tip for Disney World is that you actually go with souvenirs tucked away that you did not buy in the park. And you give them to your kids after you get home, back to the hotel in the evening. So again, we're not going to buy souvenirs in the park. Instead, they're going to get home, or maybe you surprise them, and it kind of feels like Christmas morning stockings. Every morning they wake up and they have something fun on their bed or something fun at their breakfast plate, but you bought all of those things before you went. There's so much Disney licensed gear that you can walk into Walmart and purchase here. I can guarantee you it is like 400% cheaper to do that than to buy it in the park. So anytime we're talking licensed gear, you're going to pay an arm and a leg. But then you start to buy that in a theme park, you don't even want to know what the price would be. So huge tip there for my Disney folks. If you've got kids that want those little souvenirs, take them with you. Like hide them away so they don't know that they're there. But that way they're going to ask you for less things, hopefully, in the park. They're going to ask you for less things, but you've saved a lot of money by not spending all of that on souvenirs, too, in the park. I don't know long-term how much you can keep 100% from not buying any souvenirs, but it is a way to limit a little bit there as to what you're grabbing. Rose is saying she buys a magnet with the name of the town or the campground that goes on the oven or fridge in your camper. And I love that one too. So we've gone stickers this year. And even then pondering, where do I want to put these so that it's permanent, so that I don't lose it? So what we're doing with our younger kids, because they grabbed a few stickers, is actually going to put them on, I think they got enough for probably like a 5x7 picture frame. I may go 8x10 just to give them a little bit more room. And we're actually going to put the stickers on a piece of cardboard in a picture frame. So then they have all their stickers there. They're not stuck to a wall. They're not stuck to the front of a book. But it's somewhere that they can look at it and somewhere that they can keep adding to it. And it's not something that is going to get thrown away in a couple of years and then you're sad because you lost your stickers. So get creative if you want to, even with stickers, as to where you put them. You see so many folks who put them all over their car, but even putting them on your car, at some point, something's going to happen and you're going to be really sad because you lost your stickers. Just trying to think really long term, what's your plan with those stickers, unless you want to redo all your trips, which you could do too. And Christy, that's a really great tip. She says they always hit up the Walmart in Kissimmee every year on the way to Disney World and save so much. Highly recommend it. I hit the Walmart outside of Yellowstone and will confess I was walking through like, oh, these t-shirts are so much cheaper than the Yellowstone t-shirts. We didn't end up buying really any t-shirts, but I was very tempted right then. You're always going to find some souvenirs outside that are way cheaper than the ones inside, even the national park. And a great tip too here too. Sandra says, when my boys were still at home, they did yard sales 2 weeks before we went to the beach, and that was their spending money. Yeah, anything that makes our kids think about earning their own spending money, it makes them wiser when they go to spend it. The same for us, right? If I have to work hard for that money, I'm not going to necessarily just start blowing it. I'm going to realize, like, wait a second, that's going to be a lot of hours that I'm going to need to work to make up whatever I just spent. So hopefully, little things that your kids can do, whether it's extra chores around the house, yard sale, selling some of their things. I love it. Okay. So we've hit a lot here tonight. And I mentioned VRBO, Airbnb. One question I get a lot of times when we talk vacations is there a difference there? Not really. So when you're hunting for places to stay, check both of them. I will tell you Airbnb tends to be a little bit more unique. So you're going to find some yurts. You're going to find some places that aren't your typical. You're also going to find some rooms. So you don't have the whole house. You have one room of a house or 2 rooms of a house. That isn't usually the case on VRBO. So if you're between those 2 companies, VRBO tends to be the whole house that you're renting versus that one room or that unique place to stay. You'll still see whole houses on Airbnb as well. Another one there, don't forget, when we pulled up the Sam's Club page earlier, they are currently running a discount on Airbnb gift cards. So you can do that and then turn around and use it to do your Airbnb rentals if you wanted to. But you'll find some unique places to stay through both of those that hopefully will be a little bit cheaper than other options in the area. In terms of rentals, the ones that I mentioned for RVs would be RV Share and Outdoorsy. Those are the 2 most popular ones for RV rentals. You always have the cruiseamerica.com. I cannot tell you how many of those I saw driving across the country. It's really not the cheapest option. The RV Share and the Outdoorsy is cheaper. So just to, put that in the back of your brain to at least look at before you do these RV rentals that are companies with RV rentals. A lot of times the per night rate on those company RV rentals is much, much higher than renting from individuals with their campers. That's what RV Share and Outdoorsy is like us saying, hey, my camper sat here and nobody's staying in it. And so you're paying a little bit to stay in it. But those can be great ways to travel. Sometimes they'll let you hook it up to your car. Sometimes they'll go and they'll hook it up for you in the state park or the campground where you want to be. Can be your preference, what you're most comfortable with. But that can be a really fun, easy option too. Okay. Well, we hit a lot of things here and talked some specific places to go. There's obviously, I think we could all plan ideal vacations all over the world. Honestly, this summer, based on prices and other things that are going on, I would recommend staying semi-local for gas. I would also recommend staying more stateside, just in the sense of the price of airline tickets and the number of cancellations. I don't know if you guys have seen that a lot in the news, but if you are wanting to fly, that is one thing that we didn't cover yet. So really quick, I know we're running out of time, but I do want to mention two of my favorite sites for finding flights. The first is flights through Google. So this is google.com/flights. Hands down, this is where I go to research flights. Even if I might not end up making a plane flight, you're just pondering, could I fly there or should I drive there? The reason I love this is this plus sign right there. So I could say, you know what? I want to fly from Columbia and hit the plus sign. I'm willing to also drive to Charlotte. I'm always willing to drive to Charleston. Charleston tends to be cheaper here lately, but I'm willing to go to Charlotte as well. So I can put in a number of airports there. That's now 3 different airports that I'm willing to search for. And then, I don't know, I've got to take some kids to Chattanooga here for a summer camp. So let's go to Chattanooga, but I could hit the plus sign here too. Maybe I'm willing to go big and we'll go to Nashville and rent a car, or there are shuttle buses that could take them. So I can put in multiple cities to leave from, multiple cities to arrive to. If there's a couple, you're talking New York and you've got the choice of LaGuardia or JFK, do it. Put in all of them. And then you hit your dates here. And I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm not sure if I can. I can make it a little bit bigger for you. It literally will pull in, based on your dates, the best price. So you're looking at a calendar right now. I can already tell you that if you could fly on June 29th, you can get as low as $208. Now, I don't know until I click through what city that's leaving from or what city that's going to. But I can get a really quick idea based on price how cheap I could get those tickets. So going further out, are they getting any cheaper? I mean, maybe we're down to $216 in August. But it keeps playing with them. Oh, we're down to $178 when school starts back in September. But I love the flexibility here. So let's just pull one up. Let's say I decide to travel August 3rd. It's going to then tell you, okay, your best price for leaving. We're going to travel on Wednesdays. I'm just showing you guys some basics here. So, come on, stick with those 2 dates. So, I can't make up its mind. August 3rd to August 10th, done. And then it's going to tell me what that plan was. So now I see it is Charleston to Chattanooga, $213 round trip. So it may not always be the city you think. Charlotte's a huge airport, but Charleston is cheaper. So even for you, if you've got Atlanta in your backyard, Atlanta may be cheaper. You wouldn't be surprised, though. It may end up being Augusta or those tiny little airports in other cities. If you're willing to head to those tiny airports, it sometimes can save you a chunk. And then you can decide what flight you actually want to take. But it's really, really awesome to be able to play up here in the top, as I was showing you, with that plus sign, multiple cities. And I know you may not, I can slide it over if my picture is kind of blocking it, but multiple cities and multiple airports, pretty awesome, pretty sweet way to play. Definitely sweet way to play if you don't already know when you want to travel. You're just, I want to go there, but I don't really care when. This is the magical way to do it. So I have a friend who's headed to Puerto Rico to visit some family she hasn't seen in probably 10 years. And she was asking, how do I save on tickets? Like, let me just walk you through it, honey, because you're going to be amazed at how much it gives you so much information. If I can leave on a Monday versus a Sunday, I just saved $100, So definitely if you're heading to somewhere that's a little more expensive than my little example of Chattanooga, but that is google.com/flights for that one. Really, really easy way to research flights. Another one, if you don't know where you want to go, and you're just, I just want to go somewhere, is kayak.com. So kayak.com, this is their website. I know you're thinking like the boat, right? So kayak.com. But over here on the sidebar, right here is their Explore tool. I love Kayak's Explore tool. So you can say, I'm willing to leave from Charlotte. I don't care where I go. And the third option is you pick your month. So, you know what? I want to go somewhere. Let's go in January. We don't want to go around Christmas. I want to go somewhere in January for 4 days. I'm just playing around here. And I can immediately start to see what my options are, how cheap I can get. Looks like I can get to Denver in the middle of winter. Durango, Colorado, we stayed there on our trip. It's a cute little area. But I can start to get some, just ideas. Where could I go in January? How cheap would it be? The prices that it's pulling in are what it thinks are really great tickets. I could click on any one of these dots here and get other prices too. But you can also go internationally. So maybe in January you want to head to Jamaica, or look at that, Puerto Rico for $349. So it's kind of fun. It can give you some ideas of what you can afford, where you can go. You can go all the way across the pond if you want to, and get some ideas in Europe for January and see how cheap they can get or how expensive they can get. I don't know that I would go to Glasgow at that price, but it's kind of fun. I also don't think I'd go to Glasgow for a 4-day trip, but those are the two great sites for booking flights. So google.com/flights and kayak.com using their Explore tool. So lots of ways to save there. I know, hotels, VRBOs, flights. Hopefully that's going to help you guys get some ideas. Let's see. Oh, and one last question here. Viona says, vacation in Washington, D.C. to visit the African American Museum. What do we need to expect? So some of that answer is going to be, when are you going? If you're headed during the summer, you need to expect a lot of people. DC gets pretty busy in the summer, and expect it to be kind of hot. So just to warn you, I don't know where you're from, but it isn't a really cool city in temperature wise. The metro is also kind of hot underground, so be ready for that. Do be ready to use the DC Metro. It is a great subway system. Stay outside of the city. You will save a lot more money to stay out and use the metro system to come in than to try to stay in the heart of DC. Super expensive to do that. Really tiny hotel rooms. The other thing that I would encourage you to do, I love the museum you're going to go to. Please look at other museums in DC as well, because pretty much 90% of them are all free. So if you're there trying to find some extra time to hit, so many other museums, there's just so much to see there and not pay a dime for. If you want to go and see, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution that's in the National Archives, or some of the other places, they do offer timed tickets to get in there so you can skip the line. I would encourage you to do that. It is free to get into the National Archives, so buying the time ticket seems kind of annoying, but you're going to enjoy skipping the line. So just some tips in that, having done it, having been there. And some of that you do have to book in advance too, just because they limit the number of people all the time. This is even pre-COVID. So if you want to tour the Capitol, the White House, I'm not sure if you can tour the Capitol. But any of those tours, you have to book. White House, you have to book months and months and months and months in advance. But so many of those museums being free, please try to hit as many of them as you can. That's just the sweet part about DC, is how much is free while you're there. And for anyone that's never been to DC, one of the favorite museums that my family absolutely loved, it is totally off the beaten path, it is out by Union Station, is the U.S. Postage Museum, or Post Office Museum. I don't even remember its official title. It is a fun little museum. Not to mention, they have this whole room of just stamps, and your kids can take home whatever ones they want. They're all canceled. They're not all stamps they're going to go home and mail millions of letters with. But if your kids are, pondering starting a stamp collection, they're literally going to leave that museum with a stamp collection. There are just so many that they offer in that fun little room. So another free museum that is there, but it was a fun one for us, and very off the beaten path, not in the heart of, the mall area of DC. So maybe a little less busy. Okay. And my husband just chimed in on that too. So Ooh, best time to visit countries in South Africa. So, Linda, anytime we want to travel internationally anywhere, it's the same rule of thumb you would want to use for traveling even in the US. So, it's as soon as school gets back in, those tickets go down in price. And we also want to not travel around vacation holidays. Now, keep in mind that holidays in foreign countries are not the same as holidays in the US. So, heading to South Africa over the US's Thanksgiving could be a great time to travel. They don't do Thanksgiving, but definitely researching so that you're not ending up in their peak time. Also consider where you're going, whether it, if you're talking I just saw South America. I don't know why I read that as South Africa. South America, same rule here, remembering that we are now on the other side of the equator. And so their seasons are opposite from our seasons, which really means for you that you really want to travel in our winter. It's their summer. But that's going to make things a little cheaper because our winter isn't when all of the Americans are traveling. So it kind of makes it pretty nice. And you can get some discounted prices on flights in and discounted tickets at hotels and whatnot as well. So staying away from holiday weekends, trying to travel when kids are in school in the US is going to be a significant savings for you no matter where you are headed, whether I read it right in South America or I'm off planning a trip for you in South Africa. However we want to look at it, same rules. Just don't travel on their vacation days and you're going to be doing pretty well, and traveling off peak for Americans as well is going to help you out. Okay. I think I've hit everything. I'm going to go ahead and call it for tonight. We will be back tomorrow with a drugstore video. I know I haven't done any videos in 3 weeks, guys. I've already got it all ready for you guys. So join me tomorrow at 2 o'clock. All of the new deals running in CVS and Walgreens. We've got a whole new month-long deal batch that just started in Walgreens. I've already got them all typed. I've already got all the coupons added as well. So head over and look at those on the Walgreens and the CVS page on Southern Savers. Join me tomorrow at 2. If you can't join me live, you can always join after the fact. It will be recorded and saved. And then I did want to mention, if you are in the upstate of South Carolina, I actually have a in-person workshop this coming Saturday in Abbeville, South Carolina. So if you are around Abbeville, it will be in the Abbeville Library this Saturday morning. It's free and would love to have you join me. So just to throw that out there for anyone that's in the area and wants to really dive into saving on groceries. It's a great opportunity. It starts at 10 a.m. in Abbeville, South Carolina. So I will see you guys tomorrow at 2 o'clock for all the drugstore deals, and we'll be back here next Monday night at 8:30. So thanks for joining me tonight. I hope you guys have a great little bit that's left of your Memorial Day. And thanks for giving me your Memorial Day night. It was